Like your trademark is that you're very provocative.
Yeah.
I think, as the way that you present things. And, you know, if I think 20 years ago, 30 years ago, this was extremely effective. But today, in the age, you know, of Trump and populism, I mean, they completely upstaged you. So how do you deal with that?
A very good question, and I will answer to it seriously.
Yeah, it is a serious question.
In the sense that not, yes, you noticed something very important. I remember when I was young, the left was, sorry for the obscenity, you know, doing publicly all that, using dirty words, as if this is provocative against the of fake dignity of those in power. Now, sorry, the populist right has taken this over.
Completely.
Okay, my strategy is here double. On the one hand, don't you agree? I already was in this conflict years ago when the formula of conservatives was family values. But I told them, but look at reality. Already with Reagan, it can be proven sociologically that Reaganomics did more to destroy actual family values with employing more women and so on than all the left gay propaganda or whatever, you know. So what if, not in any homophobic way whatsoever, but what if the left should say today, sorry, social destruction is there with populist right.
Yeah.
We are the true protectors of the family values. This is, I think, what Bernie Sanders, who is not an idiot, is consciously trying to do. On the other hand, why I'm still doing this? Because, you know, it's not just this right-wing vulgarity, it's also this incredibly fake, for me, political correctness, which works in a way which is much tougher even than political or judicial condemnation. All of a sudden you are cancelled. You are not even allowed to know exactly why, how, and so on. And this is why I still naively believe in something which you will not agree, that, okay, it's easy to be brutal in a brutal way. Vulgar people can do it. It's easy to be good in a good way. You can say, okay. Then it's something that Japanese and English know how to do. To be kind formally, but between the lines very brutal. To be apparently polite. But what I try to do, you can criticize me if I succeed or not, and I think this should be our solution today. It's to be vulgar, but in a way, and I hope I do this, where the message between the lines is, look, I think we are such friends that this will even confirm our friendship, that it will not hurt us. But also this false coldness of political correctness, which really doesn't work as a true struggle against racism. I don't think it works. I think it, you know why not? We are coming to what we were talking about before. Because all the politically correct prohibitions, you can bypass them by a metaphoric description and make them even more insulting. That's the magic of language. You know what was for me language at its purest? You remember at the beginning there were some demonstrations in Russia against Ukraine war, and I like this how, because Niet vojny was no to war. So people had just a piece of paper said 2 words. They were still arrested, claiming, we all know what you meant. Then that was the next step, an empty paper. They were still arrested. We all know. That's the magic of language. You know, the magic of language would be, for me, to be insulting in a friendly way without using...
But I think to say a word in defense of political correctness, it's... especially for philosophers and thinkers and talkers, it's kind of forces you to think harder because, and this is the experience of a lot of oppressed groups,
Yeah.
is that, cancel culture is not new. It was always there. It was just directed against other people, against other groups. There was never complete freedom of speech. Like if you live in Israel and you're an Arab working in a Jewish company, so you always have to think very, very carefully about what you're saying, about sensitive issues. It was always there. This is not something new from the last 10 or 20 years. What is new is that a lot of people who previously felt they can just say anything suddenly are in this situation, which was the normal situation for most people, that they have to think really hard before they say something. Because they might say the wrong thing and get fired or get...
Here I agree with you fully, in the sense that I'm not saying like I can say anything. My first formula is never be personal with my problematic talking. Like I would, when talking obscenity with a woman, I would never say anything that can be taken as being related directly to her. But you know what fascinates me here? I think this is the wealth of language where all this takes place. What I called inherent transgression. A social group is never simply regulated by rules. On the one hand, you always have rules which are given, but between the lines, you are expected to violate them in a certain way. If you don't do this, you don't belong to the group. The true test is to know to violate them, and the opposite, even more fascinating, is that things are prohibited, but as already mentioned, I think the prohibition itself is prohibited to be publicly announced. My favorite example, let's say, very short one, don't be afraid. Let's say we are at the session of Central Committee in Moscow. Okay, I will take the sacrificial role. I'm Stalin. I give a speech. Then one of you lady who asked me before, you are stupid enough to stand up and criticize me and say, Comrade Stalin, I don't agree with you, and so on. Okay, it's clear what will happen. The talk of the next day would have been, who was the last to see you free alive, no? But let's say that you are another one there who stands up and shouts at her, are you crazy? Don't you know that we are not allowed to criticize Stalin here? You would have disappeared even faster. You know, that's the true obscenity where Kafka wrote wonderful things about it, how the most prohibited thing is prohibition itself. And here again, to go back to the big topic and so on, maybe in all this incredible wealth, ambiguities of language and so on, I see here one space of possible freedom. I'm not sure.